stand for the arrival of the Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the national anthem of Jamaica. Please remain standing as we will now have prayer which will be offered by Pastor Lancelot Brooks of the Meadowbrook Church of Christ.
Good morning. Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God and Savior, thank you for calling forth this day and for sparing our lives. We place today's proceedings in your hands, and we ask that you will show yourself strong among us. We continue to lift up our Prime Minister and his team, and our prayer is that you will continue to endow him and his team with wisdom as he leads this great nation. We ask, O Lord, that we will look to you in all things, in the good times and in the bad times. As the psalmist reminds us when he said that I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. So we ask, Father, that you will lead us as we follow. Lead us to the place where we recognize as a nation our full potential, and that we work as government and people together to glorify you and also to build this nation that you have designed, that you have called. So may your blessings be upon us all. And may we indeed at the end of this say to ourselves, it was indeed good for us to be here. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
You may be seated. Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, Honourable Robert Montague, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development with responsibility for land titling and settlement, Mr. Dwayne Smith, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northwestern, Mrs. Arlene Williams, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, and other representatives from the ministry, His Worship the Mayor, he's absent. We welcome other persons from the Municipal Corporation, Mrs. Sharice Walcott, CEO of the National Land Agency and Commissioner of Lands, and other representatives from the NLA, Mr. Derek Smith, former Member of Parliament for St. Andrew, Northwestern, and Mrs. Smith, Pastor Lancelot Brooks, of the Meadowbrook Church of Christ, beneficiaries from Ackee Walk and Jackson Town, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, a pleasant morning to you all. What are not telling me good morning? Good morning? You know that nowadays when you tell somebody good morning, or if you say good morning in front of a large crowd, nobody wants to answer? So can I go again? You see what I say it nice? You know ready? Ladies and gentlemen, all a pleasant morning to you. Wonderful, I feel so nice now. It is indeed a pleasure for us to be here from the ministry and the National Land Agency to have this event, this wonderful event for the residents of Ackee Walk and Jackson Town. It's been a long time coming, right? Yes, and my PS is not going to sing that song today, I'm sure, but we are happy that we are here at this moment and that you would have stuck with us at the ministry and that we can be here to celebrate with you today. So welcome once again to the land titling ceremony for Ackee Walk and Jackson Town. To those who are joining us online, we welcome you warmly. Thank you for joining us for the celebration today. So my name is Dana Clark, by the way, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for today. All right? So at this time, we're going to invite our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Arlene Williams, to bring us welcome and opening remarks. Please make her feel welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Dani. Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, Honourable Robert Montague, Minister with responsibility for land titling and settlements. I want to also greet former MP Derek Smith, who is here with his wife, Mrs. Smith. And I also want to recognize Mr. Dwayne Smith, current Member of Parliament for Northwestern St. Andrew, Pastor Lancelot Brooks of the Meadowbrook Church of Christ, Madam Sharice Walcott, CEO of the National Land Agency, my team here from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Infrastructure Development. I'm wide awake. I'm not dreaming. And by the way, I hated that song, Arlene. I must dream your dream. Anyway. Yes. Members of the National Land Agency as well. We work very, very closely with our agencies. Persons from the Office of the Prime Minister, members of the security force, our wonderful beneficiaries from Ackee Walk and Jackson Town, specially invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen all. A very, very pleasant good morning to you. It's feeling a bit warm in here, but you know our hearts are really singing this morning. And no, Minister Montague, I'm not going to sing today, even though I'm quite happy. So it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to this important occasion. As we celebrate a significant land ownership for communities. Right, you are here. And I know this process commenced under your former Member of Parliament, and it's so good to see you here, Sir Smith, and your wife. It's very good to see you. And I want to also, in his absence, just give some amount of recognition to your former MP, Dr. Nigel Clark, as well. But I also want to pay special tribute to your current MP, MP Smith, who has agitated for us to bring this to conclusion. And so he has followed up in earnest. And of course, our teams, both from the Central Ministry and from the National Land Agency, needed no prompting because we know what we have to do. PM has given a directive, and so we know what we have to do. We don't need any reminder. So today's evidence that a promise made has been a promise kept. Today's ceremony reflects the commitment of the government through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development and the National Land Agency to improving the lives of Jamaicans through practical interventions that promote security, stability, and economic opportunity. Following the declaration of these communities under the registration of titles, cadastral mapping and tenure classification, a long title thing, Special Provisions Act, the ministry took a leading role in advancing the regularization process, given the policy direction of Prime Minister and spurred on by Minister Montague, who was direct responsibility for this area. Through the dedicated efforts of our legal and social services teams, extensive engagement was undertaken with residents to collect and verify the information necessary to facilitate the adjudication and titling process. This work required patience, persistence, and close collaboration with the National Land Agency and community members. While the process was often challenging, our teams remained focused on ensuring that eligible beneficiaries could move closer to obtaining the security and peace of mind that come with registered ownership. Today we are seeing the fruits of our labor, a true testament to the scripture, James 2:26, faith without works is dead. So the titles being presented today bring with them certainty, protection of property rights, greater opportunities for investment, and valuable assets that can be passed on to future generations. While we applaud this achievement, we also encourage those beneficiaries whose matters remain outstanding to work with the ministry and the National Land Agency to provide the necessary information that their applications may be completed, and they too can be added to the over 40 persons here to benefit from secure land ownership. So we celebrate this remarkable milestone with all the beneficiaries today. Heartiest congratulations to you. And may your title serve as a foundation for greater security, prosperity, and opportunities for you and your families. I want to end on this note. So there are several pieces of information, and I might add misinformation circulating on social media. And I don't know if it's because I'm in a church hall, so I'm going to put on my deacon cap today, which, by the way, I've never let go of. But allow me to say that I'm encouraging you all to get your information from legitimate sources. Don't just believe everything you hear. Check it out. Be analytical. Some of the things, they are just downright untrue. And so, Prime Minister always say when he hands out these titles and when we hand over the houses and all the many things that we do in our ministry and the government in general, be good ambassadors. Ambassadors for truth. That comes with being good ambassadors as well. And I want to leave you with Philippians 4, verse 8. I want to test your knowledge a little. And PM has a busy schedule, but I'm just going to take a minute. What does Philippians 4, verse 8 says? I'm testing your knowledge of the Bible this morning. Yes, PM knows, but we don't want PM telling you. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, P.S. Williams, for those profound words. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's fitting that you at least see the persons who would have been working on this project based on what my permanent secretary just said. And so I'm going to invite the members from the Legal Services Department, the Social Services Unit, all of you. Why are you not looking at me? Stand up, please, so the persons can see you. Those from NLA, Members from NLA, please stand. So my CTD Scarlett, right. These are the hardworking members, and there are other persons at the office. And so we just want to say thank you very much for your hard work. You may be seated. And Miss Gardner, I'm not seeing her in here, but she's somewhere around. At this time, I invite Mr. Dwayne Smith, Member of Parliament, to come and bring greetings.
Good morning. I know the Master of Ceremonies did an excellent job with the introduction, so did the Permanent Secretary. But I'm also going to do my introduction. I'm sorry. I know the Prime Minister's a busy schedule, but I'll be quick. So I just want to, first of all, acknowledge Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness and welcome him again to the constituency of St. Andrew Northwest. I also want to acknowledge my friend, the Honourable Minister Robert Montague, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development with responsibility for titling. I also want to recognize Mrs. Arlene Williams, who is becoming one of my favorite permanent secretaries. Thank you for all the hard work that you do. Also, I want to acknowledge Pastor Brooks and my two councillors who are here, Councillor Andrew Harris from the UNN Division and Councillor Felicia Henry Goling from the Chancery Hall Division. I want to tender apologies on behalf of Councillor Vernon MacLeod from the Havendale Division, to which the communities of Ackee Walk and Jacksontown falls. Also, I want to acknowledge CEO Walcott from the NLA and your team. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. What we're witnessing this morning, or what we will witness this morning, did not begin with me. It was like a relay with a baton. It started also, how could I forget? I want to also acknowledge the presence of former Member of Parliament Derek Smith, who happens to be my father, and my mother Carleen. And some people know this, but not everybody knows this. My mother is the biggest politician in the family. Believe me when I tell you that. So what happened today did not start with me. It started with our former Member of Parliament, Derek Smith, who served this constituency for 29 unbroken years. He started and he did a lot of work way back in the day with Councillor MacLeod. Mr. MacLeod played a pivotal role in the early days also. And it was a difficult time. Notwithstanding him being the MP for 29 years, 18 and a half of it was in opposition. Right? And when you're in opposition, things are a little bit more difficult to get done. And he did some work, Mr. MacLeod. He and Mr. MacLeod went down many times to visit then Minister Chang, who had responsibility for housing at the time. And they were successful because they got some titles back in 2015. Right, they got some titles. I think it was 12 titles for Ackee Walk, because in this entire process, Ackee Walk was a little bit easier. Both of them difficult, but they were a little bit easier to deal with than Jacksontown. Jacksontown had a lot more issues, but we dealt with them. And then, of course, the baton passed on to Dr. Nigel Clark, he also did a lot of work. And the last conversation I had with Nigel and the last conversation he had with us as a team of his constituency executive before he left, he committed to leave funds in place to carry this process through, and he did. And today, I have the profound privilege and honor to run the final leg and to hand out the titles today. I stand here with a full heart that I'm able to finally put the title in the hands of a lot of the residents in Ackee Walk and Jacksontown. And let me tell you, this is not the end all. Because you have some persons who believe that because the Prime Minister come and some people get titles, the other people are going to get forgotten. That is not the case. These are already know, we're going to hand these out now, but there's a lot more to do. But there are challenges. It's not easy to get where we are today. A title is a very important thing. As the peer said, it gives security. You can build, you can borrow, and you can leave something to your children Well, let me look at my parents as I say that. You can leave something to your children, right? I'm just reminding them, because I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and contrary to popular belief, I'm not the favorite, right? Good. Prime Minister, none of this would have been possible without you. You came to the constituency in October 2024 and made a commitment, and you honor that commitment as you usually do. I'm a testimony to tell you that whatever Prime Minister Holness says he's going to do, he's going to get it done. I'll be honest with you, sometimes it takes long, but him come through all the time. All right? Prime Minister, I'm happy that what this has demonstrated that in a most tangible way is that what matters to the people matters to him. The Prime Minister has shown that repeatedly, that what matters to you matters to him. So, Prime Minister, your leadership on land titling continues to unlock this for Jamaicans across Jamaica. The constituency is grateful to be a part of that national vision. I'm coming down now, but I want to, since I have the Prime Minister here, I also want to segue a little bit, quickly. Prime Minister, as Member of Parliament, I must tell you, I have to give you a report of Northwest St. Andrew. And the number one issue in Northwest St. Andrew is not land titling. It's not crime, because we have crime under control here now. We have a little hiccup from time to time. But the number one issue in Northwest St. Andrew is our road infrastructure. But recently I saw the Prime Minister in a meeting at his conference room at Jamaica, at his office with Permanent Secretary, and he was meeting with the leadership of the National Works Agency. And I sat and I watched his presentation, and I felt satisfied. I felt encouraged. You know why? I heard the Prime Minister articulate it. He understands the process. He understands the problem entirely. It's not just patching a road. It is bigger than that. We have some serious issues, and I'm confident after listening to the Prime Minister again, he knows exactly the issue, and he's working on the solution. There's one road here, because most ministers that come here, they make a commitment, and they usually honor it. And there's a road here that is giving me a problem. And every resident in here traverses on that road and cuss me about it every day. And that is, what it name? Fairdean Avenue. Fairdean Avenue is giving us a really hard time. And I don't believe Fairdean is a road that is the magnitude of a Spark road, but it's not on the Spark program, and it can't wait on a Spark 2. I've spoken to the minister with responsibility for works, but the substantial minister is here, and he's a man who honors commitments and has a good memory. So I'm just reminding him again about Avenue. Thank you very much. So, Prime Minister, as I close, again, this title distribution today has been like a marathon. It has been a marathon, a relay, started by Derek Smith, then to Nigel Clark, and to me. But I want to assure the residents, and what the residents can see today, at no point in time in that relay was the baton dropped. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister has a busy schedule. And you're not really here to listen to me. You talk to me all the time. You're tired of talking to me, tired of hearing from me. So I'm going to come down now again and thank the Prime Minister, thank Minister Montague, thank P.S. Williams and all the team who made this possible. Today is an excellent day for the residents of Ackee Walk and Jacksontown and the wider constituency of St. Andrew Northwestern. Thank you.
It appears to me, ladies and gentlemen, that today is a day of advocacy. Do you hear that? Yes, I hear that. And there's one gentleman here who always advocates that you have your name in 3 books. I will not tell you what those 3 books are. I'm sure that he will do so I'll allow him to do so. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honourable Robert Montague, Minister with responsibility for land titling and settlements.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Clark. Most Honourable Prime Minister, and normally I would after that say distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Protocol have already been established, but I must acknowledge my political godfather, the 8-star General Derek Smith. And the lady that keep me supplied with East Indian mango, Mrs. Carleen Smith. So, Mr. MP, councillors, thank you for having me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We have been here in Pastor Brooks's church, and I looked at the program and I don't see any entertainment. So I'm going to invite the hardest working permanent secretary in Jamaica to sing one verse of a song. I am not talking long enough, just one verse.
Why you put me on this? No, I'm not going to sing that song. I've been set up. Oh, may all who come behind us find us faithful.
And you know, ladies and gentlemen, the National Land Agency is pivotal to today's activity. And they left off Miss Walcott. So Miss Walcott, I'm going to invite you to use my time to greet the people.
Good morning, everyone. To the Honourable Prime Minister, MPs, Minister, thank you all. Today is really a very proud moment for all of us, for the ministries, for where we are today. This has been a long time coming, as has been said before, and we are all very proud to have you here and to be able to deliver on our promises. So welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to partner with you, and we look forward to many more of these events where we can complete this matter. Thank you all.
So before I take my seat, I just want to say to the persons who are here to receive their titles, it is not a piece of paper you are getting. You are getting hope, you're getting opportunity, you're getting security, and you're getting something for dead left your children. Therefore, you must protect it, and you must encourage others to start the process as well. But you have some persons here in our country that are determined not to go through the legal route to acquire land, but to squat on government lands. Now, government lands don't belong to Andrew Holness, don't belong to Dwayne Smith. It belongs to the people of Jamaica. Because government lands were bought for development for the people, to build a school, to build a road, to build a clinic, post office or hospital. And when persons go and squat on these lands and then turn around and demand on the government to put in road, light and water, that's an additional expense on you, the taxpayer. So this government wants to work with everybody. We want to work with those with land, that's why we're giving you a title, and to work with those without land in an orderly way. So we are trying to ask persons to desist from squatting. And there are consequences when you squat on government lands. We give you enough warning, we serve you enough notice. There comes a time when we're going to have to come and remove you. It is not something we want to do, but it is something we have to do. Because this Prime Minister and this government believes in orderly development. You have another set of persons who are determined to take away people's land through adverse possession. We want to say to those persons, stop it. And we want to say to persons with land, you need to occupy your land, you need to use your land, and like you know the new landowners in Ackee and Jacksontown, you must pay your taxes. Because when you have your title, you can carry it to the bank and borrow, you can put it down, you can put it in your back pocket, but you can boast that you have your title and a fee your title. So for those persons who have not yet completed the process, we are urging you and asking you to provide the information that is required. I was instructed by Mrs. Clark that I should tell you about the 3 books you must have your names in. And the first book, Pastor Brooks will tell you, it is the book of life. you must put your finger on the golden pen and write your name up there. The second book or role is the voter's role, so that you can continue voting for young Smith and encourage others to do so too. And the third book is Mrs. Walcott's book, the book of titles. You must own a piece of Jamaica and make sure it is titled. Congratulations to all those who are here to collect today, and we look forward to coming back, driving on the brand new avenue that the Prime Minister is going to fix up for you. And to come to another titling service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. You know, I'm in a very familiar place, a church, and this is where I usually sing. So, Minister, I was going to sing a little tune, but then I'm not going to do it again because PS sing already. Right? Amen. Praise the Lord. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, the moment, one of the moments that we're here for is to hear from our Prime Minister, right? And he's here today in person to hand over your titles to you. That's a big deal, right? And I heard somebody, PM, saying the time. Everywhere I go with you, they keep saying the time. Even when it is 11 o'clock. You know what time that is, PM? What time is it? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the lectern our Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Dini. Thank you, please. It's good to be back here. Last time I was here was in October 2024 at the launch ceremony. And I know that there may be some who thought that this would have just been a launch and there would be no fulfillment. Well, we are here to prove you wrong. We are about fulfilling our commitments, and I'm certain that the beneficiaries here today are very pleased that a commitment made has now materialized into a commitment that is kept. Allow me to acknowledge your Minister, the Honourable Robert Montague, the Minister of Titles, MP Dwayne Smith, your hard-working MP, our Permanent Secretary, singer, preacher, Arlene Williams, Mrs. Cherise Walcott, the Commissioner of Land and the CEO of the National Land Agency, and her hard-working staff who have made this possible. Beneficiaries, ladies and gentlemen, nice and decent people, it's good to be with you in the sanctuary. I'm pleased to join you today. For this most important ceremony for the residents of Ackee Walk and Jackson Town. Today is about titles. It is about ownership. It's about formalization. It is about recognition of your rights. It is also about securing your dignity. And it is about correcting a long-standing problem that we have had in a practical way. And that long-standing problem is disorderly settlement of land in Jamaica. For many families, land is the most and sometimes the only asset that they will ever have. And that is why we need to protect it. A title gives confidence that what you have worked for years, maintained and improved, will be recognized in law. It allows the property to be transferred from generation to generation. So it is one of the ways to break intergenerational poverty. But it is where you will have your home. It is where you will bring up your family. It's where they will get their education, their life training. The piece of land that you have is so critical to your personal development. But without a title, the ownership remains insecure. The law says possession is 9/10 of it. But not because you have it means that having it, you can't be dispossessed of it. And therefore we need to go the other 10% of it, which is to establish it formally in the book that Minister Montague likes to speak of, the titles register. Inscribe your name on it. So it's one thing to say, yeah, I've been living here forever, and no one is contesting me for it, or somebody may very well be contesting you for it. But can a bank take that and say, well, I am guaranteed to use this as collateral? If I said, all right, I'm going to will this to my son or my daughter, is there a guarantee that your son or your daughter can claim it? So let's do the other 10% of it and get it formally registered. And that is what we have been doing right across Jamaica, assisting persons who are in possession to formalize ownership of the land. Now, in 1978, 7 parcels of land in the Upper Malines Road area was declared a special improvement area. From time to time, the government put in place several pieces of legislation under which they try to bring improvement to areas that were informally settled. So the problem of informal settlement didn't start yesterday. It has been with us since the establishment of free villages after emancipation. And we haven't, as a government, through these centuries and decades, we haven't been able to rectify the problem. So we have had something called the LICA, the Local Improvement Local Infrastructure and Community Improvement Act, and several of these communities were declared. Properties were acquired, infrastructure was upgraded, and the Ackee Walk community took shape. The scheme was subdivided into 79 lots, most of which were sold to the occupants. Jacksontown has a similar story. Properties at 311 to 315 Malines Road were declared a special improvement area in 1980. The intention was clear: improve conditions, regularize settlements, and place residents on a more secure footing. But as often happens in these matters, the process became complicated, was not carried through to its completion as it should have been. The acquisition took time. So in these kinds of development, the government would subdivide the land and say, all right, you can pay us for the land, you make a little down payment, and over a period of time, you pay for it while you occupy. Can you imagine what could happen then? The original person that would have engaged in the purchase arrangement may have passed. Somebody else may have come and took over the land. Sometimes there are these informal sales. So the original person who entered into a contract of sale with the government would have then turned around and said to a friend or someone, all right, just give me money for this and you can go on with it. And so it becomes very difficult then to establish the identity of the person that you're dealing with. In other words, the government has on register one person that it's entered into a contract with. But when it turns up now to finalize the arrangement, someone else is living there, someone else claims the land. It becomes very difficult. So that's just a part of the complexity. So it has taken several years to resolve this. Your former member of parliament and his wife is here. And I'm very happy to see you, Derek and Carleen. You look so lovely. So radiant, you know, no stress of political life. And I gathered that when you entered, you received a standing ovation, which shows how loved you were, how respected you are, and that your works live after. Yes. So it's very good to see you, Derek. And so you would have been around and in many instances initiated the regularization process for both Ackee Walk and Jacksontown. And that is why we made a declaration on October 2024, and we made a declaration under the Registration of Titles, Cadastral Mapping and Tenure Clarification Special Provisions Act. So in effect, what we have done here is to create the legal basis through a clearer and more expedited process of regularization. So in effect, we declared these two areas, and we said we are going to come into these two areas and focus resources on getting the titling resolved. Now, normally, that's not what is done. Normally what happens is that the government waits on you to come to say, it is now in my interest to resolve the title. You may say, you know what, you're getting old. I want to really pass this down to my children now, so I'm going to go and apply for the title. Or I'm going to settle up whatever debt is owed with the government to finally finalize the sale so that I can apply for title. Once we declare the area, then we can engage in a process that is more systematic. That is, we come to you, knock on your door. The team here, I see them smiling because they know how involved that process is. They do the literal social work to come and establish, one, that you are actually in possession, that you are in the register of the NLA, that you have been occupying uncontested for how many years, and then they ask you for certain documentation to prove. And they work with you to bring you to the point where you can present all the documents. As we say, you perfect the file that you can then submit for your title to be issued in your name. It is a long process. Because remember now, as this is being done, out of the blue someone can come and say, I have some rights to this land. And I'm sure as you are going through this, you would have come upon it. All of a sudden, from nowhere, the brother who left to England and probably has his own place in England, abandoned the property here for how long, and so you have it. And all of a sudden he says, well, I have some rights to it. And there comes what is euphemistically referred to in my notes as some properties are subject of estate matters. That's a nice way of saying, oh, we say it in Jamaica, dead left. And there comes the struggle. And the NLA and your lawyers and the people who live in the area. We have a process of adjudication that helps to resolve it. So it's not a simple matter, it's not a straightforward matter, resolving these land issues, but it is important because if they are left unresolved, they generate their own problems. So it is the intention of the government to declare many more areas. We have done declarations in St. Elizabeth, in St. Catherine. We have done Westmoreland recently. And we're going across the country with this process of systematic registration, where it is the government that is coming to you and say, hey, we are ready to title you. That runs parallel with the system of ad hoc registration, where you come to the government and say, hey, I'm ready to get my title. So both processes are working. Under this process of systematic registration, the government does some things as well to help. We provide support for surveying, and there are some attorney support. We have the adjudication service, which is absolutely important to this process. So we do some things to help you to get it settled. So the intention of the government is to expand this. Now, let me give a little bit more history here, because when former minister and your member of parliament, former member of parliament was leaving, we started to have the discussion about legacy. What is it that you're leaving behind? Legacy is a very important motivation for political work. At the end of the day, you want to say you served your people. What is it that you would have left tangibly? And Minister Clark served well. He did an extraordinary job, and he wanted his constituents to be at a point where they could say his service benefited them, and in a practical way. And one of the practical ways we discussed would be to see the communities of Jacksontown and Ackee become formalized. We oftentimes had these very philosophical discussions about how are we going to develop our country. See, for the average person, they will say development is when Fairdean Avenue is fixed. So they will say, just fix my road, I'll do everything else. I don't need anything else, just fix my road, Fairdean Avenue. And and we, of course, it is our intention to do that. But the process of development is a little bit more complex than just throwing the asphalt on the road and fixing it, right? The process of development, it requires us to treat with issues of, let's look at, for example, the issue of equity. So if you were to go across Jamaica and you look at all the roads that are bad, then the question is, why fix Fairdean and not fix another road elsewhere that is equally as bad or not worse? So you as a citizen, you are looking at what is immediately in front of you. But sometimes you have to step back and look at the bigger picture. Then you have to say, all right, if we really want development, should we actually fix roads or fix... Then it gets even more complex. If we want development, should we fix schools, or do we deal with national security and deal with crime first? You see, and around this room, I doubt there would be agreement as to what to do first or what to emphasize on. The problem of development is very complex. Very complex. And that is why you elect governments. You elect us to go and figure it out, and to make decisions that would be in your best interest. Now, a part of the development conundrum, the development challenge, is this issue of property rights. Property rights, very important. So there are some countries that pursue a development model where the citizen has no right to property. The state owns everything. That's one extreme. State makes all the decision. And there's another development model where the state encourages the citizens to own, ensures the citizens can have a right over property. But that becomes very complex, because then the question is, how do you get property? And if you don't have property, then do you have no rights? So the state has to figure out, how do we ensure that everyone can get access to owning something, and then when they own it, to have a framework that protects it. So what we're trying to do is, one, build an economy where everyone can have the means to acquire property. You can have a job, you can get education, you can create things, you can sell, you can develop new products, develop a company if you want. You can make money. And then you can convert that into property. And then when you get the property, in a fair way, in a legal way, and then when you get the property, you can rest assured that the state is not going to come in the middle of the night and dispossess you of it. That's number one, that the government is not going to come and take away your property. And then number two, your neighbor is not going to come and take away your property. And in Jamaica, almost every day, citizens face these challenges with their property. Are you able to enjoy your property in peace? Is your neighbor blaring music every day, every night, and you can't sleep? That's an impact on your property rights. But your neighbor is saying, I have my right to play my music. The state has to regulate that. Is there pollution that is destroying the enjoyment of your property? Is there extortion and crime in your community? Man come and knock on your door and tell you that you have to leave because they're going to rent it. That's a trespass on your property right. To enjoy your property. So the state has to make sure that we protect your property. But we also have to ensure that every Jamaican can feel that I too have an opportunity to gain property. You see the complexity of the development conundrum? So what we are trying to do here is to, one, give everybody in Jamaica a registered title to the property that they own. I did a very quick overview before I came here this morning. Just looking at countries and across the world and their rate of titling and matching that against their gross domestic product per capita, which is a measure of their development, their GDP per person. And what is clear, I mean, I'm not saying that it is causal, but it is certainly, there's certainly a relationship there. And what we see is that countries with a high level of titling also have a high level of GDP. So if you look at it, Singapore has 100% titling almost, and they are a high-income country. Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, the Netherlands, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, all of them are very high. Canada, the United Kingdom, the United States, Ireland, they are 90 to 100% titling. And they are very high. Countries, for example, Ethiopia, you know, they are in the 20%. Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Well, Bangladesh is 30 to 50, but the names I called before are in the 20% region. Jamaica is about 60%. Trinidad and Tobago is between 60 and 70% in terms of the percentage of lands that are titled in the country. So we're not too bad, but we are not in the region where titling is going to contribute significantly to our economic development. And that is why it is a strategy of the government to rapidly expand the titling process. Because what the titling process does, it enshrines in the minds of the people ownership. But ownership comes with responsibility. So right now, there are a lot of people who possess the land, but they're not owners. They are occupants, but they're not owners. When you own something, you defend it. When you own something, if somebody come and throw rubbish at your gate, you say, man, but it goes even deeper. When you own it and you see rubbish and you see bad behavior start to creep into your area, you stand up and you speak out against it. But right now, a lot of people are afraid because they're not certain on the grounds that they stand on. When you own something, you become a steward. You manage it. And what has happened to many communities is that because of the nature of our society, where we never started out with equal endowments. Some people have, and a lot never have. So we try any way to get it, including illegal occupation, irregular settlement. And then we stand up and say, well, I never had it, and so this is how I am getting it. I want to be regularized now. And yes, I am very sympathetic to that view. But at some point in time, it reaches a point where the society can't develop like that anymore. Because people are saying, hey, I see a piece of land there, I am going to go and move on to it. What that does, it limits how the government can develop. Because that piece of land may very well be a piece of land for a housing development, so that you could go and buy a house there. It may be the piece of land needed to put a sewage disposal plant, or a road might need to go through it, and it essentially blocks the development options of the country. And it is happening right across Jamaica. People are moving onto land. They are using the social injustice issues as a basis for doing it without recognizing that their individual actions is limiting the development option of the country and limiting their own options, because the communities that they create will not be safe, cannot be serviced, and it has no economic value in terms of passing on intergenerational wealth. So my friend, I want you to have the land. I want you to be able to find somewhere to live. But at today's Jamaica where we are, it cannot be done illegally and informally. So there are several things we have to do. One of them, I have appointed a minister to do just that, which is to do the titling, to make sure we can move very quickly in getting communities that are informally settled, to get them settled and get them titled. We have another plan to deal with land settlement. So we have, the Commissioner of Lands can tell you that I have called all the entities that have a land bank And I said, give me all the lands that you have that can be made available. We're going to very shortly come with that so that people who want land can apply for it. It will be a competitive process, right? But then we know the issues about equity. Some people can afford and some people can't. So we have to figure out, that's the only reason why we haven't come with it yet. How are we going to ensure that those people who can't afford it, when they're going to a competitive process, that they can still get access? All right, so that's one process that we have. The second process that we are working on is, as you drive around Jamaica, you talk about your road, Fair Deal. But let's look at the housing stock, and I know it's hot, but since I'm in church, I'm preaching, so I'll finish soon, I promise. But as you drive through your communities, what you notice? A lot of the housing stock is deteriorating. It is deteriorating. Now, there are people who want to come in and say, I see a little lot there, let me buy it and develop the lot. So there is a process of displacing that is going on, but it's very chaotic. Very chaotic. So we are developing a policy to bring order to the urban renewal process that is taking place in the area. And you will hear more about that, because it comes down to as well a protection of your property rights. So you bought a property and you bought it as a single family, and then you turn around and you see a multifamily around it. But there is an economic force that we can't ignore. That if you have the property and the property is not developed and the property is not being used, and your neighbor say, you know what, I'm done with here, sell it and move, and you see that process going on and on and on, what should happen? Should it just stay there and deteriorate, and you alone stay there saying, well, I bought it as a single family unit? These are issues that the government has to address as it comes down to the property rights. The government has to bring structure to this process of urban renewal, which is taking place all around Kingston, as people have demand for formal housing. So these are issues that are all tied up here today. And so as you receive your titles, I want you to now consider yourselves owners, not just occupants or in possession, that you have rights and you must defend those rights, and that you are wardens. That is not just about defending the right, you are promoting them. You can create a community, you can bring people together to protect the rights that are enshrined in your property and represented in your title. It was indeed a great pleasure to be with you today. God bless you and enjoy your land.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going into the moments, the second or the first moments that you all have been waiting for, the reason we have our residents here today. You know what that is? What is it? Issuing the titles. You're going to be collecting your titles from the Prime Minister and from our Minister today. And so at this time, as we set up this little space, we're going to remove this lectern. Going to have some strong men help this strong lady to remove. Thank you so much, Cleon. Yes. I'm going to invite our Prime Minister, Minister Montague, and Mr. Smith to join us on the platform at this time. All right, so we're going to do it one at a time. So we'll have PM first, following instructions. All right, so when I call your name, you're going to enter from that side. Ms. Gardner? From that side or this side? From this side, all right. So we're going to start with Ackee Walk. Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson. All right, you can just line up in this order. As I call your name, I'll call 5 at a time. Osborne Hines, Leroy Shirley, and Stephen Brown. All right, so Mr. Thompson. Osborne Hines. Leroy Shirley. Stephen Brown. Stephen, I didn't catch your picture. Basilis Nehru. Basilis. Hopetown Davis. Marjorie Smith. Miss Madge, turn around, face the camera. All right. Devon Brown. Mr. Brown is very popular. He has a lot of friends here, man. All right, Sabrina Brown. Clap same way, man. Yes. Turn around, Miss Brown, and smile. All right. Peter Gay Harding. All right, we're now going to be moving to Jackson Town. Jamila Gordon. All right, as the persons are coming, just going to ask you to just, once you're in the bench, just come around in the line right here, please. We're now moving to Jackson Town. All right, this is Jamila. All right, come, Miss Gordon. All right, you can clap her again, please. Jamila Gordon. All right, Sylvester Gordon. Linton Sargent. All right, Minister Montague. Linton Sargent. And Mr. Sargent is collecting 2 titles. Evans. Minister Montague is checking for the ID. For those online, he's making sure that this is the real Hyacinth and that another one doesn't turn up tomorrow. Looks like her, Minister. It's indeed Hyacinth. Nakia Williams. Cadian Williams. Errol Smith. He's the first one from this page. All right. Marlene Naismith. All right. Then we have Miss Marlene, who will be collecting her title as well. Clap, Miss Marlene. All right, Miss Marlene. Cordell Sargent. All right. Avis Dawkins. And we have another celebrity in the house. Dalton Christie. Handel Marsh. And after this, I'm going to invite our Member of Parliament to take center stage. Thank you very much, Minister. MP Smith. Jennifer Gordon. What's your name? All right, and Mr. Bernard is collecting on her behalf. Stacey Palmer. Neville Smith. Roy Morrison. Rosemary Pink. Rohan Hunter. Richard Jackson. How the clapping gets a fanky. Right. Donald Robinson. Andrea Russell. Emmanuel Young. Babsarine Castell. And she'll also be collecting 2 titles. Laurel Morrison. And our Chief Technical Director is making her way. So we'll give her a few minutes to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at the end, so you have to ensure that the claps are loud. You ready? We started strong, the middle was strong, the end must be strong. All right? Tywayne Jackson. Floria Hall. Neville Jackson. And our final recipient, Joan Perry. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for all of the recipients. Thank you so very much to our Prime Minister, Minister Montague, and Mr. Smith. At this time, we're going to be having the vote of thanks by Ms. Rosemary Pink.
Good morning. The Most Honourable Dr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Honourable Robert Montague, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Honourable Dwayne Smith, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew North, Western, Mrs. Arlene Williams, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, distinguished guests, representatives of the relevant agencies, community members, fellow title recipients, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and privilege to stand before you today to offer the vote of thanks on behalf of all the beneficiaries gathered here today. Today is more than just a ceremony. For many of us, it represents the fulfillment of a long-held dream, the security, pride, and peace of mind that comes with having legal ownership of the land we call home. A title is more than a document. It is a foundation upon which families can build, invest, and create opportunities for future generations. On behalf of all the recipients, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to the Government of Jamaica, our Member of Parliament, and all the agencies, officers, stakeholders whose hard work and commitment made this day possible. Your efforts have transformed what many have seen as a simple administrative process into a life-changing achievement for many families. We are especially grateful to the Most Honourable Prime Minister for taking the time to be here with us today, for supporting initiatives that empowers and strengthen communities across Jamaica. Minister Montague, thank you for your continued efforts in advancing development initiatives that improves the lives of citizens and contribute to the growth and prosperity of our country. Mrs. Williams, we are grateful for your stewardship and the work of the public servants and technical teams who helped to bring this process to completion. To our Member of Parliament, Mr. Honourable Dwayne Smith, thank you for your advocacy, leadership, and continued commitment to the people of this constituency. Your presence and support have not gone unnoticed, and we are truly appreciative. To everyone who worked behind the scenes, from surveyors and administrative staff to community leaders and volunteers, we thank you for your dedication and service. We, the recipients, we accept these titles with gratitude and renewed sense of responsibility. We look forward to using this opportunity to improve our properties, strengthen our families, and contribute positively to the development of our community. Once again, thank you all for sharing in this special occasion and for helping us to make this a memorable one. May God continue to bless our community and our beloved Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pink. After we're through here, I'm going to ask all the recipients to go to the back as we have a few things to take care of. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, before you move, we're going to take a group picture as well. Thank you, Richard. On behalf of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, thank you so very much for being here. We thank the pastor and his team for allowing us the opportunity to use this facility. Give them a round of applause. Thank you to our team from the Jamaica Information Service, members of the media who turned out, as well as our sound engineer. So on behalf of the ministry team, thank you so very much. All recipients, going to invite you to come up here so we can take a lovely photo of you and we can post this as a big win, not just for you only, but for your families and for Jamaica. So my name is Danny Clark, and it was my pleasure serving you today.